day. We will probably give it about 5 more minutes. So if you can just hang tight, that would be great. Please fill out your full name, anyone who is with you if you're in a conference room, and your facility. If you could do that on chat, that will be my sign-in sheet. So thank you, everyone. Feel like I should have some music playing or something here. Well, for now, you can leave it on there. Yeah.
All right. Oh, yeah, here.
Karen, I think you're muted if you're talking.
All right, perfect. Ooh. We do have an echo today, don't we? Hold on, I know. Well. Okay, all right. Now I'm screwed. That's right. Now I am. I think you're fully up. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is the statewide laboratory partnership call. It is October 17th, Monday. If all of you could go ahead and put your name and your facility in the chat box, I greatly appreciate it. It's a good sign-in sheet for me that I am required to have. So welcome, everyone. And as you know, this meeting is recorded. It does serve as my minutes. I will post this on our website. We'll try to get that posted here in the next day or two. So if you have staff that would like to join us but unable to because they are busy working, of course, they're welcome to join in and listen to that recording after the fact. So, all right. I would like to see if we have any new staff members. NPHL does have a new staff member. Her name is Becky Bonacci. Or did I really screw that up? Okay. She is going to be my assistant to help. And I do have to confess, I'll let you know that I am looking at retiring in 2023 sometime. I will be going part-time probably December or January. We'll see what works out, but be part-time to help Becky. And then when we do get our state training coordinator position filled, which we pretty much do already, but when this person starts, we'll introduce him too. So, but this will be a slow going thing because I know how much work there is involved in this position. So Becky, you want to give us just a little background? Tell us where you came from and how much experience you have.
Okay, I graduated from UNMC in 2008 with my medical laboratory science degree. I started over at CHI in the microbiology department about December of that year. And except for a small jaunt out to the laboratory out in Blair, Nebraska, I've been at CHI the majority of that time. I worked in microbiology all of that time at CHI. I graduated in December with my master in public health with the emphasis in environmental and occupational health. And I just, today is my first day here.
Yes, so I'm putting Becky into the limelight already. So welcome, Becky. We're glad you're here. All right, we're going to start right away on the outbreak updates. And I guess we're just going to throw it out there that we did send out a NPHL lab alert last Friday. I hope you all have gotten it. And if you have not, please let us know. I want you to make sure that you have all the appropriate contacts if indeed a patient walks into your hospital and has traveled and possibly has been exposed to Ebola. So there was a CDC advisory that came out about a week ago saying that in Uganda that numbers have definitely increased there, and it is a concern. We don't know what's going to happen. Most Ebola outbreaks there tend to fizzle right away, but as we know, back in 2015, it did not. I've always said that in this global society,
no, I kind of tried to watch it last night
in the United States again. So we are going to ask everybody to test off the Ebola protocol. Hopefully you all have that still from 2015, 16 when it was first written, but encourage you to consider reviewing it, updating it as needed, and know those contact numbers. on that lab alert.
Mommy.
There is going to be a lot of information.
Karen, can I
out there.
stop you real quick? I just want
Yes.
to take this moment to remind everyone on the phone to please mute. We're having some problems hearing Karen here. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. So am I pretty soft, Emily?
No, we had some other interfering noises. So hopefully if everyone else on the call could mute, we'll be able to hear you just fine, Karen.
All right. Thank you, Emily. You bet. All right. Anyway, so there are going to be a lot of different educational notifications out. One that I'd like to share with you is NETEC, which it initially was the National Ebola Training and Education Center. Now, obviously, they have branched out into the National National Emerging Pathogens Training and Education Center. They will this Thursday have a live town hall to discuss a number of different things, especially PPE, not only in a patient's room, but also hopefully in the laboratory. We're going to talk about lab safety precautions. So if you would like to see this, review that information, feel free to register. I do have the link attached here. You hopefully can click on it, or I can send you that link after the fact if you need that. Emily, would you like to go ahead and expand on that in any way and share anything that you would like them to know from our side?
Just be prepared, as Karen said. Please brush off all of your procedures. Make sure that you're ready. At this time, we do not know of anyone coming into the state of Nebraska. I think we commonly correlate special pathogen testing with usage of the Nebraska Biocontainment Unit, but we must all remember that these patients can present anywhere at any time. So if you are, an assessment hospital or critical care hospital, it is important for you to dress off those protocols and make sure that you are prepared. We have a large immigrant and refugee population here in the state of Nebraska. So, and PUI could present at any time. And we always encourage the safety of all staff that are involved in the care of these individuals. So preparedness is how we do so.
Right, and thank you. I would like to really have everybody think back to the 2015, if you were there. I mean, one of the things that hospitals did, granted, laboratories probably don't need to worry about this as much, but if you could talk to your administrative people, discuss with them how they're going to handle patients that walk into the emergency room. Are they going to ask that very first question of travel? Has the patient been out of the country in the last month or 30 days? Is probably important. I mean, I remember even when it came to the point that people had, the emergency room had signs up that said, if you've been out of the country within 30 days, please stay in your car and call this number. So talk to your hospital administration, make sure that they are currently just reviewing their documentation to be sure that it is handled appropriately. So, all right. Any questions on the lab alert, the CDC advisory that went out? All right. Now, you also have to remember that the state, and Robin probably could speak to this a little, or possibly even one of our epidemiologists. I don't know if they're on right now, but if your hospital has that situation that there is a patient possibly exposed, any testing that needs to be done on this, you should first get approval from the state. And Robin, do you want to speak to that?
Actually, we're putting together a HON right now to kind of go over this process. The first step would be contact your local health department, and then they would in turn contact the state. So the local health department needs to be involved right at the beginning, and then we would move forward with that process. But there will be a HON that is being put together right now that will be coming out about some more specific information. And I don't know if Samir or Dr. Ashraf want to add anything, but it'll have what exactly you're supposed to do.
Exactly. And when they do call the state, are they calling their local health department first, or are they calling straight to the state?
They should contact their local health department first.
Agreed.
And then local health department will then get in touch with us and notify us of the situation.
Yes.
And, or, I mean, they could call us both, but, you know, the first step would be to contact the local health department. So we make sure everybody is following the Ebola plans, dig those out. I know we made them.
Yes.
So, you know, as Karen said, get your coolers out. Well, you know,
Yes.
check all
We'll
that
be talking
stuff.
about
And,
that.
you know, if you weren't here in 2015, maybe find some notes that were taken back then. So it's come full circle. We are back there. And so please just get as prepared as possible.
Yes. So when you talk to your local health department, I guess the best question to ask right now is, do you know what your local health department phone number is? If you are not aware of that, do find out or let us know. We can find it for you and make sure that is posted right where everyone can see it. Yeah.
Another piece of this is this is Tim with Lincoln Lancaster County Health Department.
Yes.
Another piece of it is that CDC's put into place, similar to what was put into place back when we had this in the past, is screening at arrival airport into the U.S. Individuals coming back or coming from Uganda will be screened at their arrival airport in the U.S. They'll have, I think it's 5 airports that they'll come in through. Not that a person could get around it, but the idea is to screen them. If they are symptomatic, they'll be isolated at that point. They're high risk or possible risk or low risk. They'll be sent on to their destination, but the state will be notified and of who's coming where, and the state will notify the local health department, will initiate monitoring for 21 days from their last exposure. And in that monitoring, we'll be contacting them on a daily basis. And should they become symptomatic, what we did in the past is tell them to notify the local health department, give us a call. They'll have direct contact with the local health department, and we'll assess their symptoms. And if they need a medical evaluation, then we'll have them stay put until arrangements are made that we can get them in. So the hospitals will be notified and given some time to prepare to see these individuals, which would help. So we can avoid a Dallas where somebody just walks in. Not that it couldn't happen, but the chances are less.
Exactly. And I don't remember necessarily back in 2015 or 14 when the Dallas hospital got involved. Did they have airport screening back then, or did that prompt the airport screening?
That was not in place at that time.
Yes.
The process has evolved quickly after that. If you remember, before Dallas, most people said, well, you know, it's over there. Or when
It'll
they
never happen.
started coming here, well, they had a police escort to the biocontainment unit. So everything was controlled. And so public health and the healthcare community weren't too concerned, but after Dallas, that concern level went sky high around the country.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Tim. I'm glad you mentioned that. I think we definitely are much more prepared. I want to say that because we're prepared, we'll never see it, but anything can happen. So I do think if we are not prepared, you know it's going to happen. So let's do it as much as we can. You'll probably have other reminders coming from MPHL that I will help you through the process as I dig out some of our procedures as well. So one of the things I want to say about Ebola is, and which will be our packaging and shipping tip of the month, is to find, as Robin said, your Ebola kit. Now, what that means is it was a cooler. It's something as simple as here, as an igloo cooler that was given to every laboratory in the state of Nebraska. Now, we did not venture out into clinics or long-term cares or anything like that to supply them, but we did give this to each clinical laboratory in the state of Nebraska. So we gave almost 90 coolers out. Within that, you will have a category A box. There will be enough shipping material in there and instructions as well to know how to package and ship. Remember, actual packaging and shipping, well, packaging starts in the collection phase where you're in the patient's room, you're collecting it. There's 4 disinfection steps within that. It was even more urgent than COVID to make sure that this particular organism is not conveyed out of the room. So we really want to follow the disinfection steps well, and have your infection preventionist there walking you through the process. Ideally, it would be great if you had the time to literally exercise it, walk through it, talk it through, make sure everybody knows their role. And that's the way you learn. So if you remember, we did come out to some hospitals, not all, we did come out to them to give you the kit, but we were not able to get to everybody to do the exercising of this kit. Now, the reason it is done this way versus just handing off to FedEx or UPS or the MPHL courier is because of the risk of this organism. It is considered a risk 4. Even though it's suspicious and we haven't confirmed it yet, we still want to be very cautious. And at this point, our only courier is going to be State Patrol. So the Nebraska State Patrol, we will be working with them to create if we absolutely had to. We are working on that part of it yet. We will be updating all the information that was in our little folder in the cooler. I hope that what we'll do to update it is to also put it on our website so that you can go to the website, download and print the most updated procedures, keep it with your cooler. Now, laboratories, if you cannot find the cooler, please check with your emergency room. Some facilities decided to keep it in the ER, feeling that the specimen was going to be collected there. They were going to literally package it there and meet State Patrol there. Others of you had said that you'd prefer it to go to the laboratory. And if that's the case, then you wanted to have the cooler in your laboratory and kept there. So please find your cooler. If you cannot find it, check with your emergency room. If they cannot find it, not that I have a whole lot to give out, but please contact me because I have some of that information that we kept from our visits back in 2015. Okay, do I have any other comments from Ishrat or Dr. Ashraf?
I have a couple of clarifying questions just for my knowledge because
Yes.
I was not here back in 2015 when we were doing those. If I'm understanding correctly, collection can happen at any hospital where a patient is there who is under kind of investigation, and they can with appropriate PPE and all those things, they can collect the sample, necessary sample for patient evaluation, some basic lab and, the Ebola test that will be needed for them to make initial determination of what needs to be done. And then they send that lab using these coolers, correct? Transport that lab using these coolers to where? NPHL or to another hospital that have the capacity of running the test?
No. So here's the point. I'm glad you brought this up, Dr. Ashraf, because this cooler only goes to NPHL. So to confirm that it is Ebola, we will need purple top, if I remember right, Emily, if you could back me up on that. But we do have, go ahead.
2 purple tops.
2 purple tops. The tough thing is that this is going to go straight to NPHL. In fact, it's going to go to our loading dock. It is not even going to client services. We are going to handle this directly at our dock in reality. Now, that brings the question, though, about other testing. With a patient who might have a fever, you might want to do fever protocol. Do you draw blood for culture? Those are things that NPHL does not do. We do not do those. We do not do CBCs for you. We do not do other types of clinical testing. So that begs the question, can you do it in your laboratory? And that was the huge question we had back then. And that is something that each of our hospitals, your hospital, will have to talk to its administration. Dr. Ashraf, I know that what will happen is you will be called first before they collect. They have to get approval to collect from first their local health department. But then, of course, the health department will probably get a hold of you, Dr. Donahue, anybody who's available. And you might have to assist them with walking through this whole process. If it is not a very sick patient, can the testing be done, depending upon how soon State Patrol can get here? So thinking about the time State Patrol will have to curry it, then the testing may take anywhere from 4 to 6 hours here at NPHL. So in that time, if the patient just has low-grade fever, but it was exposed, can they be quarantined? Can they go home? Is it something that, those are decisions and things that you might have to talk through with that hospital. If it's a very sick patient, on the other hand, has a heart attack symptoms, I don't know, showing petechia, what do you do then? That hospital laboratory may be forced to do some testing that they normally wouldn't do. But again, and I can't say they can send it to their reference lab. that cannot be done because of the danger, and this is a dangerous good. And we would probably want to confirm it negative before any other test is sent to a reference laboratory. So
Okay, so I got it. The only test they can send is, using these coolers are basically the Ebola test. The rest of the basic tests that may be needed to take care of that patient cannot be sent through this system. I think there are, and correct me if I'm wrong, there are protocols to be followed, and I'm thinking when you are doing those routine tests, and I'm thinking that most hospitals or labs are probably not gone through that protocol review, or undergone training, or to be able to do that. So I am saying that most hospitals will be completely not ready to be able to do those routine tests. Do we need a system to maybe, and I'm just asking a question, and maybe we can do that, or maybe we cannot do that, or whether was it ever thought about? Was there a system that was thought about to have at least some regional hospitals may develop some protocols to assist their close by hospital areas and things like that, areas close by hospitals in the areas, to be able to perform some of those, like rule out malaria or test where necessary? Is that something that was discussed then? Can we do we need to look into that, or is it already ruled out as a process?
No, we did try to have hospitals review that, but a lot of questions were not answered. Emily, would you like to add to that?
Hi, Dr. Ashraf.
Hey,
So
Emily.
in the state of Nebraska CONOPS plan for the highly hazardous communicable diseases, we identify 3 different levels of hospitals. So you have
Mhm.
tier 3, which is going to be your frontline hospitals.
Mhm.
All frontline hospitals across the state of Nebraska, if a PUI for highly hazardous communicable diseases presents at their hospital, they are expected to maintain capabilities of housing this individual for up to 24 hours while we coordinate transport of that individual out. And housing of that individual does include general labs and life-saving things that need to occur. You can't just put an Ebola patient in a room and tell them good luck for 24 hours while we coordinate shipment. So that is part of the DHHS CONOPS. And then after 24 hours, we can do one of 2 things. Preferentially is that we take them to the tier 3 regional emerging special pathogens treatment center, which is the Nebraska biocontainment unit here. Or the alternate would be to go to the tier 2 laboratories, which are going to be the assessment hospitals. We have 2 assessment hospitals in the state of Nebraska, and that is going to be Bergen Mercy and Children's Hospital. So it is a bit of a regional approach. In reality, within 24 hours, as long as the specimen can get here to NPHL, we will be able to confirm an Ebola. But, the last couple of years have really shown us that there is potential for other circulating high consequence pathogens out there. If the testing isn't available, we would have to, coordinate transfer of those specimens down to the CDC for identification. But yes, there is an approach that is put into place. It's all outlined in the DHHS CONOPS. But you are very correct in that many frontline hospitals, especially after COVID, have not had a chance to dust off those protocols. So that's, I think, what Karen is getting at here is please look into your protocols. Please make sure you're prepared. These individuals can show up anywhere, and we need to make sure we ensure the safety of all of our healthcare workers across the state.
Thanks, Emily. I think you probably clarify. Maybe I misunderstood the CDC guidance. How I read the CDC guidance, I may have been misled on that. I thought that the CDC is saying that those regular labs has to be done at the tier 2 place, and not at the frontline facility. But maybe I completely misled it. So that's why I was asking the question. But what you are saying is what I'm understanding is that even the frontline hospital. So there are three different frontline hospital that holds patient for 12 to 24 hours, the assessment hospitals that hold the patient for up to 48, 72 hours, and then the treatment center that do that. So my impression on when I was reviewing through the CDC recommendation was like it felt like the CDC was saying that the routine labs like CBC, rule out malaria, this that has to be done at the assessment hospital. But your understanding is that those routine CBC, rule out malaria, this that can also be done at the frontline facility and not necessarily have to be at the assessment hospital. Is that correct statement?
I think we need to be very careful in making definitive statements in the state of Nebraska. As we know, there's a very large breadth of land that we have to cover, and there are fun things like blizzards that we have to watch out for. So in the event that we have an individual in Scottsbluff and there is a huge blizzard cutting off all access to those assessment hospitals, we need to still be able to provide patient care.
I completely agree. I just wanted to make sure. And the question that I was asking is that does it has to be at each hospital level, or do we need to start thinking about regionally, getting some local hospitals ready to perform those tests? And maybe the answer is that every lab. I was not sure whether we have already thought about that or we need to. So that's good, and we can look into that.
Okay. Well,
but for now, it appears to me that every lab has to be prepared.
Yeah.
And I think in that case, everyone should start looking into the protocol.
Yeah. Well, and Dr. Ashraf, I think that is and all very interesting questions. And I think we need to talk more on a statewide level about it. So one thing that you brought to mind is malaria. That is another test that we can do here. Am I correct, Emily? I think that we have had some testing, so we can do both malaria and the Ebola testing here.
Good.
So we don't necessarily, and not many clinical laboratories have kept that test, to be honest with you. And nor do they want to probably work with that type of specimen to do a malaria slide. So yeah, a lot more training to come on that. So I think since we've spent most of our time on Ebola, let me very quickly go through the others. I have blanks on them on our agenda, but does anybody have anything to say about monkeypox and SARS? Let me start with those. How are they going in the state? What are our numbers, if anybody has those?
I can talk about the numbers or monkeypox.
Okay, Grace, I'm here, please do.
So far we have 31 cases been identified, and the numbers have been decreasing for the state and overall in the US also. So I think that's all I want to say for now. And there have been, in the US, there have been 2 deaths from monkeypox.
Ooh. I did not know that. I knew there was one, but I did not know there had been 2.
Just to add on to that, while the numbers are decreasing, they are not gone. So please do not take monkeypox off your differential if it matches.
Right. All right. And COVID still is here too. We haven't gotten rid of that. Testing is as we've always done it. So if you have any questions about monkeypox or SARS, you're welcome to ask those now. Anybody in chat, if you don't have audio, feel free to ask questions in chat. Or unmute. Do I hear any questions? Okay, I'll go on. Obviously influenza now is a thing of concern. As Robin has told us last month, the influenza surveillance has now been sent out. What that means, not every hospital laboratory, but some of you, I think maybe about 5 to 10 laboratories and 5 to 10 clinics have been asked to participate in the surveillance for influenza. They have been sent the specimen collection kits as well as shipping instructions. So with that, I hope that your first patients that have any sort of what we call ILI, which also means influenza-like infection, that those specimens you go ahead and send to state right away. So
If they're negative for RSV and COVID.
what's that?
We prefer they were negative for COVID and RSV.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for stipulating that too. Are they even doing actual influenza rapid tests there too? And sending only positives, or are they just sending any ILI?
It could be either. I mean, if it's testing negative and it looks clinically like influenza, but test negative for RSV and COVID, we could have that come as well. We do like to get some specimens, you know, and it depends on what kit you're using. But, you know, if you do rapid, you most likely have to do a second swab with our kit. So,
yes. Yeah.
So just keep that in mind.
Right.
And please use New Alert. Please, please, please.
Okay. We will talk about that in a minute. Any other comments about GI outbreaks, ARBO, or TB?
Real quick, Karen, I just want to enforce that if anybody sees any unsubtypables, no matter if you're a Sentinel lab or not, please let us know. We always want to be on the lookout for a novel flu or something going on with a respiratory panel. So please let your local health department know, let the state know, let the lab know, let somebody know, and we can get that specimen in for confirmatory testing.
Exactly. Exactly. Any questions about those? Okay. Do we have anybody here for arbovirus? Is Jeff on?
Hi, Karen. I'm here.
Yeah.
So not a whole lot here, you know, with the cold weather moving in, you know, mosquito activity will be basically non-existent or, you know, severely reduced, but we are still seeing some folks, some positive West Nile virus lab reports come in. We had a late onset, you know, in terms of the positives coming in, so kind of delayed the start of the season. So folks may still see some cases still coming in potentially that have just, you know, were infected, you know, several weeks prior and just had, you know, just now coming in to see their providers. So that's about it in terms of arboviruses at this point.
Okay. I don't know if we have any updates on TB.
There are no updates on TB, Karen. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have any updates on antibiotic resistance? All right, hearing none. All right, any other discussion?
I thought
Comments?
Dr. Kamal Ahmed is on the call or not? Thought she had some.
Yeah, I'm on the call, Dr. Ashraf. Only thing, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
For some reason, I can't start the video, but what we have is that we're just kind of, you know, revising our and revamping our surveillance on the state side. And we just want to we kind of want to let all the labs know that, if you happen to see any vancomycin resistant staph case, VRSA, or even intermediate visa, please, do a repeat test, or also send the specimen to NPHL for further testing, because that is also the protocol, and also it is reportable to the state immediately as part of the Title 173.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, so the reason for that is we have seen like when we were looking into, as Dr. Kamal Ahmed said, that we are doing this surveillance, and we are going back a few years to see, we have seen that there have been situations where there might be a Staph aureus case that was listed as vancomycin resistant, but then there was no notification, or the sample was not forwarded to NPHL. So since that has happened in the past, we just wanted to make sure that everybody is kind of brushed up on that policy protocol, if there is something that they need to look into in terms of protocol development on that. It's a very rare situation. I think a very, very handful of cases in the entire US. So if there is a lab that comes up Staph aureus as resistant as with vancomycin, I think it probably best to reach out at that point of time, because we probably have to just talk to CDC at that point of time too.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions from our laboratorians? All right. I don't know if Dr. Fay is on, if he has any comments to add. I do not see him. Okay. So let me turn then to NPHL Client Services. I know that Jess Carr is out this week due to maternity leave. She had a baby girl. So we won't see her for a couple weeks, but I do have a couple others. Brian, are you on? Or is...
I'm on, and
yeah.
I guess this morning I got an update on the single tube collection method for TB interferon, and our micro department is in the middle of that lab validation. So we hope to finish that here in the next couple of weeks. Again, what that means is that collection in certain circumstances with timing in mind can be collected in one tube rather than the 4 individual tubes.
Yeah. Excellent. Did you say this is a different tube than the 4 that they did in the past?
Yep. It'll be a single tube. That tube will, once it arrives in our laboratory, it will be automatically pipetted into the 2 or into the 4 reagent tubes. So
yeah,
what we hope it will do is make collection easier and faster.
Right. Excellent. So give our client services a call or order from the website. If you do need, now we don't want people stockpiling these, of course, but if you need 1 or 2 to start with, I know that we can help out and get those to you if you do have a need to collect those tests and send to NPHL. Thank you, Brian. Any questions for client services? I think it took us a while, but I think we finally got our new NPHL test order form on the website. Hopefully it's updated there. So if needed, but we would again prefer to have you use the NPHL site. We do have instructions how to use it right there on the NPHL site. But we do need you to use the new alert system to order your tests, especially COVID, influenza, even a possible BT organism can be ordered through that way. And if you have not used the system for a while, there is a good review online, and will help you get the new alert order entry system up. So no other questions, I'll move on. Okay. I thought I'd report out on our chemical and rad terrorism exercise that we had 3 Fridays ago now, September 30th. We had quite a good number of people, a number of state people that even came down for it. So very excited to have local and state to exercise with us. The scenario was a dirty bomb that could have happened, and normally in that situation, it may have only been urine, but we practiced both collecting urine and blood on a mass specimen collection level. With COVID, as you all know, we're very used to mass specimen collection now, but if you really think about it, what we've done so far is only the nasopharyngeal swab. But if you ever had to do urine and blood, that is a different scenario. We've got some steps that would help you through that guidance, and some recommendations. So if you ever have that need, please let us know. We'll share. We're more than happy to share what we have put together. An AAR is being written right now. What that is after action report, and will be presented to the group here at the end of the month. So I just thought I'd share that. Other educational, and with time growing short now, other educational things I'd like to offer for you is we are now offering a biosafety webinar. And if any of you have ever heard of Sean Kaufman, he is very good at biosafety. He is offering a 60-minute program that consists of 3 modules. And what I like about this, even with all 3 modules, it is only 60 minutes. But what I like about it is it has competency built in. So there are quizzes, there is a survey and an evaluation to demonstrate competency. So this is in line with your laboratory work. So if you want to have a program, if you don't have a program yet on competency on biosafety cabinets, this is something you can consider. These competency tests, whatever the grading, will be shared with the lab manager, and you could keep this for your documentation. So if you are interested in taking on this type of competency program just for biosafety cabinets, please let me know. We do have monies to pay for a number of laboratories. We're going to start out small and see what the need is. But normally the cost of this is like $50 a person, but we're going to try to do this per laboratory, and we can make it work for your laboratory. All right. With that, so email me. I don't have a link to registration, but email me first. I want to see how much interest is out there. All right. And of course, like I said, packaging and shipping tip of the month is to find and dust off your Ebola kits. And I will be calling down to ask who has found their kit and who has not. This fall.
Karen.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so sorry. So two two things. First of all, I do not want to create any confusion, so I will say again that I went back and looked at the CDC recommendations, and it actually talks about what Ebola assessment hospitals can do in testing. It does not actually say that frontline hospitals cannot do testing. So
Right.
so I'm pretty sure that frontline hospitals can do testing. It does provide some information on what tests should be done and
Right.
what specimens should not be used because of the risk of aerolization and things like that. So there are some tips on, what are the tests that can easily be done or what are the tests that cannot be done. So it does not necessarily say that frontline hospitals cannot do the testing. So I'm pretty okay with what was discussed earlier, that
Right.
labs have to evaluate their procedures and see what they can do and what they can perform and go back to their protocols and things like that. Now, coming to the same thing, and with the tip of the month, I wanted to kind of ask a question here. Is it if there was some instructions that were sent to the lab or guidance that were sent to the lab back in those days, definitely we're asking everybody to be looking into their old files and things like that. I don't know how much turnover there has been. I'm going to
Oh,
think
yeah.
that there
We
probably has
expect
been a
quite
lot
a
of
bit.
turnover. I'm hoping that with the turnover, those files have been kept in a way that people can find it. But I'm afraid that there might be situations where somebody may not be able to
Right.
find. Is there a way for us to maybe have it online or something
We
for,
are. We
Okay.
are going to so that everybody can update quickly. We will be putting that on our website. We currently do not have that there right now, but we will be adding that. So I am working on updating those procedures right now. So yes, we have been busy here on this side thinking about Ebola. So good point. And it isn't so much that laboratories couldn't do it. We never said they could not do it. It's just that some laboratories have felt that they could not do it safely. But that's where they have to do, in order to say that, they have to do what's called a risk assessment first. They have to be able to prove that it cannot be done safely. So they do need to review their PPE. They do need to review the instrument itself. If it's an open tube instrument, yeah, it might not be safe to do it. But if, I don't know, some of the Sysmexes that, am I correct to say, do CBCs, they are a closed system. They might be able to handle that. So each hospital laboratory has to make that decision on their own. But the way to make the decision, with educational background, is to do that risk assessment, as they call it. So,
And I will add that, if they end up finding out that there is no way that they can actually do that testing, then they may have to come up with a plan on what is going to be done if there is a need that come across to do the testing. Whatever the plan is,
but it's not
yeah.
that easy to transport from
Yeah.
one lab to the other.
Yeah.
We would have to have that MOU with another laboratory. And as Emily was saying, there are the levels, as you said, that second tier you mentioned. Actually, we have two, what was the second term?
Assessment.
Pardon?
Assessment.
Assessment labs that would be able to help. We have not contacted those labs yet to see if they're still willing, or even if they have the capabilities to keep with. The unfortunate thing is both of those laboratories are in Omaha.
Yeah. So anyhow, I think as labs start to evaluate their processes,
Yes.
Yeah.
And we are here to answer any questions that might come up as each laboratory makes this decision. So I think I was talking about laboratory training. We are still going to do LRNB training and a challenge set in probably November now. And it might be a combination of online and wet workshop. So I will be talking about that later. You'll hear more from me. So I'm going to open it up. And before I open it up, I just want to remind everybody to go ahead and, if you have not already, please sign the chat box with your name and facility. So I'm going to leave it open to the laboratories and ask if there's any other topics that we did not hit today. I think we overwhelmed them with Ebola already. Sorry about that. All right. Well, I don't think I have anything in my chat. No other questions verbally. All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to be staying on another couple of minutes. So if anybody wants to pop on with just another question, feel free. I'll be here. Thank you all and have a great week and month. Bye-bye now.
Karen, it's Anita.
Yeah, Anita.
I'm wondering if maybe we can pencil some time, maybe you and Becky and I can pencil some time in the next, maybe next week or
Okay.
so we can start